Imagine an island shrouded in mist, where the line between scientific discovery and forbidden experimentation blurs into a horrifying reality. What if I told you there's a place on Earth where whispers persist of creatures that defy biology, mutations born from human ambition, and a truth so unsettling it was buried with the very scientists who sought to uncover it? This isn't science fiction. It's the chilling legend of Yamashima Island, a forgotten speck in the Pacific, where the echoes of unspeakable acts still reverberate, daring anyone to listen. Because in 1972, a small research vessel vanished near its jagged shores, taking with it secrets that were never meant to surface. To understand this profound mystery, we must first cast our minds back to that pivotal year, 1972. The vessel, named the Starseeker, was a Japanese research ship, ostensibly on a mission to study deep-sea currents. Its crew consisted of 7 highly respected marine biologists and oceanographers, their expertise undeniable, their reputations impeccable. They were expected back in port within 2 weeks. They never arrived. Initial search efforts were thorough, spanning thousands of square miles of the vast Pacific, but yielded nothing. No wreckage, no distress signals, not even a life raft. It was as if the Starseeker and its entire crew had simply dissolved into the ocean's embrace. The official explanation was a sudden, catastrophic storm, a freak weather event that submerged all evidence. But locals knew better. Fishermen from nearby archipelagos had long warned against venturing too close to Yamashima Island, a small, craggy outcrop perpetually wreathed in an unnatural fog, its very name meaning mountain of whispers. They spoke of strange lights in the night, unearthly sounds carried on the wind, and an oppressive feeling of dread that permeated the air around it. These weren't just superstitions. These were observations passed down through generations, and the disappearance of the Starseeker only intensified these pre-existing fears, turning whispers into shouts. Was it truly a storm, or was something far more sinister at play, something that the authorities were desperate to keep hidden? Yamashima Island itself is a peculiar geographical anomaly. Uninhabited, it charts no known major shipping lanes and possesses no valuable resources. Yet, clandestine aerial photographs from the late 1960s, now declassified, reveal crude, almost temporary-looking structures on its desolate northern flank. Structures that clearly don't belong to any known government or corporate entity. This fueled speculation that Yamashima was secretly being used for something unconventional. Local legends, dating back centuries, spoke of an ancient, powerful kami, or spirit, dwelling within the island, one that would punish those who dared to disturb its slumber. But modern whispers painted a far more terrestrial, yet equally terrifying picture: a rogue scientific outpost, a place where ethical boundaries were not just pushed, but violently shattered. The phenomena reported by fishermen weren't limited to lights and sounds. Some described seeing immense, bioluminescent shapes moving beneath the waves at night, shapes unlike any known marine life. Others recounted finding grotesque, malformed fish washed ashore on distant islands, their DNA baffling scientists who examined them decades later. These fragmented clues, these unsettling anomalies, eventually reached the ears of Dr. Aris Thorne, a brilliant, if notoriously maverick, biochemist. Thorne was a man obsessed with the fringes of biological science, particularly genetic manipulation. He believed there were secrets lurking in forgotten corners of the world, secrets that could redefine life itself. The official explanation for the Starseeker's demise never sat right with him, and the rumors surrounding Yamashima Island became an irresistible siren call. Driven by a thirst for truth, or perhaps a dangerous curiosity, Thorne covertly assembled a small, hand-picked team. Two ex-military security personnel, a seasoned deep-sea diver, and an eccentric, reclusive linguist who specialized in ancient Pacific dialects. Their mission? An unauthorized, unsanctioned expedition to Yamashima Island to uncover once and for all what truly lay veiled beneath its perpetual mist. Thorne and his team reached Yamashima under the cover of a moonless night, their small vessel navigating the treacherous, unmarked reefs with expert precision. The island itself was an oppressive sight, its volcanic peaks shrouded in a thick, sulphurous fog that tasted metallic on the tongue. As they ascended a jagged cliff face, the air grew heavy, static, with an unseen energy. It wasn't long before they stumbled upon the structures hinted at in the old photographs, a derelict, rusting complex, half swallowed by the encroaching jungle. It was clear that whatever research had taken place here had been abandoned in a hurry, perhaps violently. Inside, they found laboratories frozen in time, beakers still on benches, rusted centrifuges, and shattered glass everywhere. The stench of formaldehyde, ozone, and something far more organic and putrid hung heavy in the air. Their Geiger counters spiked erratically, indicating residual radiation, a terrifying sign. But the true horror began when they descended into the facility's deeper levels. Access required blasting through a reinforced steel door, revealing a subterranean network of tunnels. Here, the temperature dropped precipitously, and the atmosphere became thick with an almost palpable dread. In one chamber, they found containment units, large reinforced glass cylinders, many of them shattered. What had been inside them, no one could say for certain, but the desiccated organic residues clinging to the glass suggested something monstrous. Then, they discovered the data logs, a series of encrypted hard drives and water-damaged notebooks. While much of the data was corrupted, the linguist managed to decipher fragmented notes detailing Project Chimera, an ambitious, horrifying attempt to combine deep-sea extremophile DNA with mammalian genetic material. The goal, chillingly noted, was adaptive bioweaponry. But the logs also hinted at unforeseen complications, unstable hybridizations, and a rapid, autonomous, evolutionary cascade. The linguist then pointed to recurring symbols in the margins of one notebook, ancient pictograms that closely resembled the old Yamashima legends of the kami. Was it coincidence, or did the ancient warnings hold more truth than Thorne had dared to imagine? Suddenly, the lights in the chamber flickered erratically. A low, guttural growl echoed from the furthest end of the tunnel, a sound that seemed to vibrate in their very bones. The security team readied their weapons, their faces grim. A shadow, impossibly large and misshapen, detached itself from the gloom, its movements fluid, unnatural. What happened next was a blur of frantic gunfire, desperate shouts, and the sickening sound of flesh tearing. Thorne, in the chaos, managed to grab one final, partially functional audio recorder, activating it just as he was dragged away into the darkness, his screams abruptly cut short. The Starseeker wasn't lost to a storm. It was lost to something that should never have been created. Weeks later, a lone, battered life raft, identified as belonging to Thorne's expedition, was found drifting aimlessly hundreds of miles from Yamashima's shores. Inside, along with some personal effects, was the audio recorder. What it contained was a harrowing, distorted chronicle of their final moments. The initial recordings detailed their entry into the underground facility, Thorne's excited whispers about the discoveries, then the growing fear, the sounds of movement in the darkness, the escalating panic of his team. Finally, Thorne's voice, now raw with terror, came through clearly amidst the static and guttural roars. It's not a creature," he stammered, his breath ragged. "It's a collective, a biosymbiotic swarm. They aren't controlling it, it's controlling them. The ancient warnings, they weren't about a spirit, but a primordial consciousness awakened by our tampering. It's using the genetic material, adapting, absorbing, becoming a recursive entity." Project Chimera wasn't about creating life. It was about unleashing something that devours it. It's replicating, evolving, and it knows we're here. It's intelligent. It learns. It hunts. The recording ended with a horrifying shriek, not entirely human, followed by a wet, tearing sound, and then only silence. The official report on Thorne's expedition, when it was finally leaked years later, was predictably sparse, citing unforeseen environmental hazards. But the questions remain. What became of Dr. Aris Thorne and his team? What unspeakable horrors did they truly unleash on Yamashima Island? And perhaps most terrifying, if this recursive entity continues to evolve and adapt, what might eventually escape the confines of that mist-shrouded island? To this day, the area around Yamashima remains a no-fly, no-sail zone, ostensibly for environmental protection. But the lingering whispers, the unconfirmed sightings of strange lights, and the unnatural quiet around the island suggest a more sinister reality. Whatever lies buried beneath the mountain of whispers is still there, patiently waiting. If you want more spine-chilling mysteries about forgotten places and scientific blunders, the next video explores the chilling truth behind the infamous Dyatlov Pass incident.